Aston Villa v Fulham at the weekend is a huge game. A huge game to recover, regroup, progress forward and attack the last 4 games of Aston Villa's Premier League campaign. Our backs are against the wall for Champions League football with the defeat against Manchester City. It's imperative that we win our 4 games. 4 games coming up against 4 teams that are below us in the Premier League table. And the game against Crystal Palace, again, highlighted certain areas within Aston Villa's system, how we play, that they are frailties and weaknesses, and time again, certain areas of Aston Villa's game are being exposed. For me personally now, I want Aston Villa to attack the 4 games, to release the handbrake, and to just be dynamic, be expressive, be controlled, but just not allow the opposition to have a specific game plan of containing Villa and hitting Aston Villa on the counter-attack and hitting us on transition. So on today's episode, we're going to take a look at the tactical map of how I feel like this game is going to unfold. Where are the certain areas that Aston Villa need to avoid getting into, and how can we combat the nature in which teams are looking to hurt Aston Villa. So it's a tactical one. Get involved in the comments, subscribe to the channel. Up the Villa. Here we have the tactical landscape of Aston Villa v Fulham. The Fulham system is a 4-2-3-1. They have got rotations and movement. They've got pace and power. They've got a bench that's got decent depth going forward. We just quickly break down the Fulham system. You'll be able to take a look at what they are and what they're trying to do. Big threat comes down their left-hand side with Robinson. Robinson can get all the way down to the byline. He can get to the edge of the 18-yard box. He can put balls in. He can cross. He's got pace. He is a massive threat on that left-hand side for Fulham. Right-hand side, whether it's Tete, is a little bit more of a holder. They've got a double pivot of Lukic and Sander Berg. And then they've got this front 4, depending on what variation they want to go with. Willian, Traore, Smith Rowe, Iwobi. They've got Pereira. They've got 2 strikers that are different, that can offer different vibes. So if it's Jimenez, etc., he can drop deeper. And what you generally find is that Jimenez, the striker, will always drop deeper. And then you'll have Pereira, that is the furthest player that rotates and moves around. So again, they've got different options. Iwobi comes inside. Smith Rowe can play in that pocket. Willian, he too can cut inside and cut onto his stronger foot. Traore, powerhouse, power, running, dribbling, and product sometimes lacking. But the game plan for Fulham in this big game, because it is a big game for them, will be to contain Aston Villa and to not allow Villa to get into certain areas and to try and stop us. Now, Villa at Villa Park is a fortress. It's a place that Villa are very, very dominant. So teams will not come and open up, because if Fulham come to Villa Park and open up and leave big spaces and big gaps, then Villa, who are in the red by the way, Villa in the red will be able to find little pockets, play little passes to Rodgers, the pitch starts opening up and Villa are in behind a midfield of Fulham. They're not going to do that. So what they are going to do is keep it really tight, really compact, and when Villa are playing out from the back, they are going to have players that are sitting in front of the Villa double pivot. They are going to want to engage and press us into certain areas. The areas that they will want us to go to, in my opinion, are into these areas out wide. Force us, condense the pitch, move us into these areas, which then means the ball for Aston Villa has to keep going backwards to the side, and we keep moving it around into these areas and back to the goalkeeper. So setting traps, and why they'll set traps is because we've seen it before, in which if they shut down the midfield, win the ball back, what can Fulham do? They've got players that can get into these areas, that can dribble with the ball, that can drive forward, that can then allow players to get on the overlap and then get balls into the box and pose big problems for Aston Villa. So that's the makeup of how these teams are operating and beating Aston Villa. Shutting out the middle, pushing us into areas that we feel like we're comfortable, but then we're not comfortable. My point of view of what I want to see Aston Villa do is I want to see us attack the next 4 games and give the opposition a problem that when they step onto the pitch, that we are doing things a little bit differently. Unai Emery will always want control. Whether he agrees with me or not, he will want control, and he may go with his out-and-out standard players that he wants to go with. But in my opinion, with the way in which this season is going, the same things are going to keep happening whether we do the same things or not. So we've got to have a tactical shift and different options to attack the opposition. You can have your solid base with your double pivot of Kamara and Tielemans. You've got Konsa. And then you've sort of got players that, you know, you can have a little bit more control with a Ramsey in there that's going to be able to get on the ball for Villa, drive us forward. He will always be able to help his fullback as well. So we'll have that structural ability in there anyway. But I feel like we need now to have an element to us of an unpredictable nature and be able to attack with pace and power. So my team against Fulham will be Martinez, Maatsen, Mings, Konsa, Garcia, Kamara, Tielemans, Ramsey, Bailey or Marlon, Rodgers and Watkins down the middle. He's got to play down the middle, Rodgers. He has to play down the middle now. This right-hand side isn't working. Could we go with Marlon? We could do. Bailey, exactly the same. Garcia, I want him to play up and down. And what you're starting to give with these players that have got more pace and want to be able to drive forward is problems all over the pitch, because we can keep Rodgers central. We can have a wide player that gets on the ball. We can have an underlap. We can then have an overlap and an option, which then starts to give fullbacks big problems. You're then having to get players that are doubling up on players as well. So this all in turn helps Villa progress further up the pitch, have more dominance. But then if you've got those options of underlaps, overlaps, etc., you've just got massive problems that the opposition are having to deal with as well. So for me, going into these next 4 games, it's vitally important that there's attacking intent and we get that little bit of a shift between what we're good at and an element of just being a little bit braver on the ball and having that more belief and attacking these last 4 games. Because the big thing is, guys, there's 4 games to go. We have to attack it. We cannot now be in a position where we're looking to control games and build up slowly and entice the opposition to have a foothold in a game. I feel like the opposition teams at times now have got a bit of a foothold and can camp in a little bit. I want us to have massive overloads on both sides, penetrate the opposition on both sides, still have control with Kamara sitting in there, making up that back 3, etc., but really push these teams further back now. I want to see Morgan Rodgers dropping deeper into a little bit of a midfield, being able to pick up the ball and be that player that now has got more licence to play in his preferred position and be that guy for Aston Villa. Going into the last 4 games, we need somebody now to be that player that can just be expressive, drive forward, take all of pressure on their shoulders and just deliver. A little bit like Eze at Palace, just be that guy. That is what we need. So today's episode is just a bit of a brief overview of what I am after against Fulham, because I do not want to be coming on here after that game talking about how we've sat in here, we've had players that are just sitting in that shape, we're getting done on transition, we've been done by a ball that's started deep, it's gone to the back post. I do not want to have to be talking about that. I want this phase of Villa now, after that hurt of Wembley, to use it as ammunition to drive us forward and get a better performance. Because what we saw against Palace and Manchester City, there was no belief and it just simply wasn't good enough in my opinion. So I want Villa to have a new lease of life and attack the next 4 games. So let's hope we can do it. Up the Villains.